In the year 2148, explorers on Mars discovered the remains of an ancient spacefaring civilization. In the decades that followed, these mysterious artifacts revealed startling new technologies, enabling travel to the furthest stars. The basis for this incredible technology was a force that controlled the very fabric of space and time. They called it the greatest discovery in human history. The civilizations of the galaxy called it mass effect. With the ascension of humanity into the galactic community, those same civilizations welcomed mankind, yet not as an equal, but as a junior partner. Decisions affecting the whole of the galaxy were instead made by the Citadel Council, of which only the Asari, Solarians, and Turians were a part. The Systems Alliance, Earth's foremost governing body, accepted its new position in the galactic hierarchy with some reservations, but was ultimately left with little choice. This decision was seen by some, however, as a betrayal of all humanity. These individuals believed that in accepting the terms of the Citadel Council, the Systems Alliance had made Earth the puppets of alien masters, and left humanity in a place where it might never assume a mantle of leadership. They conspired together in secret, creating an organization designed to further the goals of mankind at any price. In Greek myth, Cerberus was the Hound of Hades, a guard at the gates of the underworld. In the galaxy that mankind has found itself within, a new Cerberus would operate in secret, a guard at the gates of human dominion over the stars. Surviving only through secrecy and misdirection, the early history and foundations of Cerberus are impossible to verify. Ultimately, however, Cerberus was perhaps an inevitable reaction to the First Contact War of 2157. While dismissed as a small-scale incident and quickly overlooked by the rest of the galactic community, the conflict left an indelible mark on humanity's collective psyche. In the span of just 3 months, the Systems Alliance had gone from fighting what was thought to be a war of survival against the Turian hierarchy, to serving and cooperating with them across Citadel space. Veterans of the war were particularly apprehensive of this new arrangement, and Cerberus was formed within their midst. In the immediate aftermath of the First Contact War, an anonymous manifesto was posted across the extranet. It warned of an inevitable alien attempt at a human genocide, and called for an army, a Cerberus, to guard against invasion. Dismissed by the Systems Alliance as survivalist rhetoric written by an elusive man, a series of terrorist attacks conducted across Citadel space beginning in the 2150s proved that the manifesto had reached a far wider audience than initially believed. Additionally, the title of Elusive Man became the standard moniker for Cerberus's leader, giving this mysterious individual an almost legendary reputation. Agents acting under the name of Cerberus took part in a vast campaign of sabotage, assassinations, media manipulation, and clandestine reconnaissance. It was the failed attempt to steal antimatter from the Systems Alliance cruiser Geneva, however, that first brought the organization into the public eye. The deaths of Pope Clement XVI, the head of the pro-human terra firma party, United North American States President Enrique Aguilar, and Chinese People's Federation Premier Ying Xiong are all believed to have been the work of Cerberus-sponsored agents. Such high-profile deaths were of enormous impact in furthering the goals of Cerberus and disgraced the Systems Alliance security apparatus. Above all, they were evidence of the organization's incredible sophistication, wealth, and ambition. Throughout the 2180s, Spectre agents acting under the authority of the Citadel Council uncovered evidence that Cerberus was manipulating hostile wildlife and the Rachni, previously thought to be extinct. The goal of these experiments was ostensibly to create a new kind of super-soldier. Many Alliance settlers and even high-ranking officials were killed during these operations, lured into traps in order for Cerberus to test the capabilities of their new specimens. In the aftermath of the Battle of the Citadel, the organization shifted its focus towards human biotics, infiltrating the Ascension Project, site of the Alliance's most prominent research. Other major initiatives involved forging ties to the Shadow Broker, a mysterious purveyor of classified knowledge, and sabotaging the efforts of Batarian terrorist groups. These were all in some way connected to the organization's ultimate goal, resurrecting the first human Spectre, Commander Shepard, who was killed in 2183 at the hands of the enigmatic Collectors. Cerberus, unlike the nations within the Citadel Council, believed Shepard's warnings about the Reapers to be accurate. The organization had also uncovered evidence that a race of genocidal machines lay hidden in dark space, and believed Commander Shepard to be critical in stopping them. After gathering a team of specialists from across the galaxy, Shepard was able to gain access through the nearly mythical Omega-4 relay, from which no ship had ever returned. Shepard's actions there brought new revelations to the galaxy, linking the Collectors to the Reapers and bringing to light the latter's impending arrival. Fear of the Reapers and Cerberus's successes beyond the Omega-4 relay brought renewed prestige and attention to the organization. For the first time, it was able to operate semi-openly, albeit through dummy corporations and puppet groups. Compared to Cerberus, both the Systems Alliance and Citadel Council appeared in the public mindset to be timid and indecisive. Cerberus manipulated this growing public sentiment to brand itself as a highly competent, noble vigilante organization, which in turn greatly expanded Cerberus's ranks and capabilities. It achieved further clout in its occupation of Omega, a station widely disparaged across the galaxy as an anarchist hovel run by gangs and mercenaries. By 2186, with the invasion of the Reapers seemingly imminent, Cerberus had drastically altered its goals and methods. Rather than working to stop the Reapers at any cost, Cerberus instead sought to control them, intending to use them to make humanity the dominant force in the galaxy. Experiments with Reaper technology allowed the organization to forcefully indoctrinate many of its personnel and convert formerly neutral or antagonistic individuals into fanatically loyal troops. Cerberus's xenophobic stance, while always a fixture of the movement, became more aggressive and seemed to overrule even its stated goal to oppose the Reapers. When the Reapers appeared in the thousands on every major world across the galaxy, Cerberus had drifted so far from its original intentions as to be almost unrecognizable. Rather than opposing the Reapers directly, the organization was now fixated on hindering the efforts of Commander Shepard, who in the midst of the invasion was working to build a galaxy-wide coalition. Cerberus's struggle against galactic unification culminated in an attempted coup against the Citadel Council, which, while destructive, ended in failure. This brazen act compelled the Systems Alliance to dedicate significant resources to Cerberus's destruction. Additionally, Cerberus seemed to be in possession of critical intelligence necessary to defeating the Reapers. The organization's headquarters was located on an unassuming space station, and the Alliance Fifth Fleet deployed against it. The organization was dealt a critical blow, from which it would never recover. This strike against Cerberus was the first stage in the counterattack against the Reapers. In the devastating battles that followed, fought in orbit of Earth and across its surface, the extent of the corruption within Cerberus was revealed. In their efforts to destroy the Reapers, Cerberus had become their puppets, indoctrinated by the same methods that had turned thousands, if not millions, of other species to act against their own. Even the Illusive Man, whose steadfast will had transformed Cerberus from an idea into a galactic superpower, was not above the Reaper's manipulations. He was killed in orbit of Earth after a final confrontation with Commander Shepard. Whether the organization might endure the death of its founder and single leader is difficult to determine. For most of its history, Cerberus operated clandestinely, heavily decentralized across a number of cells. Each cell was typically dedicated towards a single objective, and largely unaware of the existence of any other. It was to the Illusive Man alone that each cell reported, and each was subject to a great degree of micromanagement. This stymied the organization's potential for growth at times, but ensured that the Illusive Man was deeply involved in all of the group's activities. Several times, rogue cells were disavowed by Cerberus, but whether they had sincerely broken ties with Cerberus, or this had been feigned to create plausible deniability, remains unknown. While most Cerberus personnel performed their duties within these cells, the organization also cultivated a network of embedded operatives, double agents, and sympathizers across Citadel space. The loyalty of these individuals varied considerably. Some were merely useful tools and needed to be blackmailed, bribed, or threatened to suit whatever purpose Cerberus required of them. These individuals may not have even been aware that they were serving Cerberus, believing instead to be taking part in regular corporate espionage or some kind of noble whistleblowing. Others were highly attuned to Cerberus's goals and acted as willing sleeper agents, lying undetected in positions of authority and awaiting their moment to act. Such is the sophistication of Cerberus's network that it effectively had access to every settled star system, trade stop, and colony in the galaxy. Only the migrant fleet of the Quarians was said to be beyond their reach. In addition to its clandestine operations, Cerberus maintained a number of front corporations, including CDR Holdings, Terra Nova Commonwealth Bank, the Milky Way Foundation, New Dawn Pharmaceuticals, and many others. The profits of these enterprises were secretly funneled into Cerberus proper, which together with many wealthy sympathizers within the Alliance military-industrial complex, gave the organization access to enormous wealth and resources. These resources were divided amongst a series of projects, ranging from developing illegal artificial intelligences, forging identification, and numerous attempts to study, combat, and control the Geth, Reapers, and other threats to humanity. As Cerberus gained access to advanced alien technologies, especially those used by the Collectors and Reapers, the organization rapidly expanded its military forces. Personnel deemed suitable, be they willing participants, unsuspecting volunteers, refugees, or abductees, were put through a comprehensive integration process. This typically resulted in absolute loyalty, yet without the feral behavior sometimes seen in those indoctrinated by the Reapers. Thanks to its hidden influence within Alliance military contractors, Cerberus was also able to hide its acquisition of a large fleet of warships augmented with Reaper technology to become amongst the most advanced in the galaxy. At the time of its occupation of Omega, the organization had a fleet consisting of frigates, cruisers, and dreadnoughts. Before its destruction, it was considered capable enough to be of serious threat to even the numbered fleets of the Alliance Navy. To coordinate its myriad of cells, operatives, fleets, and agents, Cerberus utilized an innovative communication system. Messages were hidden within public extranet broadcasts, providing instructions on anything from fleet movements to financial instructions. For completely secure communications, the organization could also afford a number of quantum entanglement communicators. That such an organization could assemble such wealth and power so quickly speaks to the inherent fear across the human race of the unknown. It was a fear ultimately justified, as even now the fate of Earth, its colonies, and all the races of the galaxy remains unknown. But if there are any survivors of the Reaper War, and if they are able to re-establish their dominions across the galaxy, they will have to contend with the legacy that Cerberus left behind. It is either a dangerous warning of how even the strongest-willed can be turned against their core beliefs, or a warning that in a galaxy full of ancient secrets, no alternative can be overlooked that might secure victory.
The Templin Institute investigates the nations, factions, and organizations of alternate worlds. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to join the Templin Institute, consider pledging to our Patreon page. Along with increased security access, you'll be able to vote in polls to determine future topics, get custom wallpaper every week, and receive some other exclusive rewards.